Now to party politics and our big story for the day. It's exactly 22 days to the Edo governorship election, and the state is gearing up for what will undoubtedly be one of the most interesting contests in its almost 33-year history. For the first time in many years, and just like what's played out at the presidential election, the contest will be a three-horse race. The PDP's Aswa Ighodalo, APC's Monday Okpebholo, and the Labour Party's Olumide Akpata. Do we say then that others are pretenders? You can answer that question. But there have been growing sentiments triggered by calls for power rotation to Edo Central Senatorial District. And this may be a factor to look out for in this governorship election. For more on this, legal practitioner Liberus Shoma joins me from Lagos, Nigeria. Mr. Shoma, good to have you join us today.
I greet you. Good evening. I greet you.
Indeed, there are different factors, that could shape the Edo governorship election. Let's begin with the issue of zoning. Of the three top contenders in this election, two are from Edo Central and one from Edo South. How strongly can zoning influence the forthcoming poll?
Unfortunately, it beats my imagination when I also hear members of the intelligentsias discuss zoning. Oh, it's the turn of the ASAN, it's the turn of the ASAN, it's the turn of the ASAN. And so, to answer your question directly, it's a very strong factor in this upcoming election. We shouldn't be, because there's this cry, which was even partly what led to how Obaseki won his second-term election in 2020, because the people of Edo Central felt if a new governor on the platform of APC would mean 8 years away from having a taste of the governorship. But for Obaseki, 4 years, so that will mean after 4 years it will be the turn of the ASAN. So it truly a weight behind him. So in that stead, so you'll find out that today everybody's talking about nobody, even those that are telling you talking about competence. Also, underneath that competence, you hear them shout, zoning. It is the turn of the ASAN. It is the turn of the ASAN. And the question you now begin to ask yourself is, when has tribe or tongue actually delivered good dividends in democracy? Obasanjo, for example, was president of Nigeria for 8 years. That didn't repair the road to Ota. Yaradua and Buhari were presidents, in Nigeria, 8 years and 2 years, 10 years cumulatively. It didn't solve the problem of banditry, kidnapping, and all the crisis and Alumajiri in Katsina. Ditto the presidency of our man from Otuoke. That didn't construct road to Otuoke. The East-West Road is worse off today than before Goodluck Jonathan became president. And today, what are the benefits, apart from the same set of people that will always be beneficial, when anytime somebody from that region is the president or governor or senator? What has the benefit of the Yorubas or the Southwest? Has it eliminated hunger in Lagos, the presidency of Tinubu? So when I hear people talk about this zoning, yes, it's the turn of the ASAN. The Chief Tony Aneni was a henchman in the who bestride the political landscape of Edo, for years. He's from ASAN. He's an Uromi man, but that didn't bring development to the ASAN land as far as politics is concerned. Rather, it benefited a few persons. And so the people who today are telling you, oh yes, it's the turn of ASAN, and then the PDP will condemn the candidate of the APC and tell you, oh, the APC brought somebody who does not know how to communicate in English language, while the APC will say the candidate of the PDP cannot communicate in its local dialect, even though they are saying it must be, an ASAN agenda. But yet, you hear them discuss, it is the turn of the ASAN, it is the turn of the ASAN. For the Labour Party, they will tell you, oh, the Labour Party candidate is competent, but he's a Benin man. So, as far as I'm concerned, really, in as Edo state election, most of the discussions I've heard, competence take the back seat. They talk more about the ASAN agenda before they bring competence into it.
I think competency should come to the fore. But let's look at another issue, and that is the concern about age. Aswa Ighodalo is 65. Just yesterday, Monday Okpebholo clocked 54, and the youngest of the trio, Olumide Akpata, is 51 years old. How much do you see age influence the voting pattern in this election?
Like I told you, they are all of the same age brackets. A man who is 54 or 64, and a man who is less than 50, and the one who is 50. They are all the same. We look at 5 years apart, is the same age bracket. So for all intent and purpose, you could say that they are all from among the same age. So if, like we say in local parlance, if I meet you for secondary school, you'll be my age mate. So they probably would have met each other, if they all attended the same school, there's no way they won't meet each other in the same school. So really, that's not a factor because, you don't have, if you had, let's say, a Professor Osumbo, in the race, for example, you'll be talking about, yes, some people will say, yes, Osumbo is, it's a bit elderly. But in this, nobody's really discussing their age, really. I've interacted with both those in Edo and outside Edo. Nobody's really talking about the age. What, people, like I said, most of the issues that you hear people talk about are, tribe and tongue, language, English, and then competence take, the underneath. I would have expected that in Nigeria of today, with the challenges facing, us in every sector, we should discuss, it should ordinarily be competence, and competence. Every other thing should take the backseat. Because if you even look at it, look at Obaseki. Obaseki is a Benin man, but the Beninese are not happy with Obaseki's, a lot of them, or not all of them, apart from those that benefited from them. Most of them are not happy with his 8 years rule coming to an end now. And that is why the PDP as a party, the campaign of the PDP, you see themselves trying to distance themselves from Obaseki. You would expect that a governor, a sitting governor, people would use his achievements. His party would use his achievement. But he's a Benin man. You would expect also that the APC, for example, the APC would use the achievements, if any, at the national level to say, yes, this is what we have done at the national level and we're going to replicate it. Nobody's talking about all of this. What you hear, a friend of mine yesterday was saying, oh no, you see, let's reason like politicians because everybody's saying it's the turn of the center. I agree, but it gives a sense of belonging. This turn by turn arrangement gives a sense of belonging. But we should also look at, competence and in discussing turn by turn so that when, all is done and settled, would, first and foremost be looking at, yes, we are producing the best amongst us and not just saying, okay, yes, you from Isan, go now. After Isan, let the next person from Edo go. Then if we are talking about the turn, it's a turn by turn thing, then anybody, once you are from that area, it becomes that person who can grab it and run with it. It becomes his turn. And so that's why I think we are really, truly not ready as a people to actually have a robust discussion on democracy.
But if we talk about competence, like you said, and we look at the political antecedents of people contending in this election, have we really seen them pull their weight to convince the Edo people to actually cast their vote for them?
Yeah, I like the fact that I have seen all the three major contenders. Yes, you see them, at town hall meetings, you see them at Market Square, you see them at neighbor to neighbor, door to door. You see them even campaign at night. But I would expect that we should create, apart from these rallies, we should also create forum for interaction, direct and indirect interactions.
Like debate?
Where not really, yeah, debate. Debate is one of such interactions. Yeah, but we copy from the Western world, and so debate is an opportunity. But because not everybody listens to debate. Debate is good for the intelligentials and then also build a culture of responsibility. But also there's need for, town hall meetings, town hall interactions, where you sit down with the stakeholders and, have a pact with them. This is what I promise I'm going to do. And not those kind of, you just come, you mount campaign rostrum, Shomole will talk, Akwakomiza will talk, party leaders will talk, or you have PDP, the party person will talk, Aswen will talk, and all of that. Then you shout PDP or APC or the Labour Party, Olumide will talk, and then Asama will talk. Let's have, let's bring governance closer to the people in like town hall, smaller meetings, where you sit down, for example, with not the entire people in the town, but let's quarter. Let's say you have a Sogu quarter in Auchi, for example. You sit down with people in the Sogu quarter at the town hall meetings and then have a pact with them. Let them be able to ask you questions directly. Apart from the debate, these are other things that should help people holding government accountable. You'll be able to say when he came, not that he told us I'm going to tar a road. People will be able to ask him, how are you going to tar the road? Where will the resources come from? Where will the funds come from? How many people are you going to employ? Where are you going to employ them from? And these are specific promises and understanding that you have with these people, and not when you mount promises made at platforms or rostrum during campaign are usually not kept. They are promises thrown in the heat of the moment. But when you have an interaction with the people, like when they come to Lagos, I see them, the candidates come to Lagos, they have stakeholders meetings and interaction. But let them also have such interaction with people, at the community level. Not just opportunity to share money for party leaders, but interaction at the community level. Gradually we'll begin to develop democracy in that light. So with that way, for me, that will enhance, consistent and a robust engagement. Unlike when you have, those massive campaigns, because like I tell people, now the same set of people now you see for campaign. If PDP come to campaign, you will see massive crowd. If APC comes to campaign, you see massive crowd. If Labour comes to campaign, you see massive crowd. If there were as many people to vote for the political party as there are at this campaign, nobody would lose the election.
All right, Mr. Sherma. Well, we'll get to talk about those backing these contenders, talking about the backers. We'll also look at the issue of godfatherism as it played out in the past in Edo State. But that will be after this break. Please stay with us.
Ahmed Tinubu, do solemnly swear.
Your governorship election is here, and TVC News is your go-to source for all the election action. As Governor Godwin Obaseki steps down, the race hots up for his successor. 3 top contenders for 1 seat: Olumide Akpata of the Labour Party, Asue Ighodalo of the PDP, and Monday Okpebola of the APC. As the contenders make their case and the voters make their choices, who will emerge winner as Edo decides? Stay tuned to TVC News for live coverage, in-depth analysis.
Ademola Lawrence,
Theophilus Elama,
Sarah Ayuku,
Ikenna Amechi,
Joseph Kumbel,
Solomon Ajisiogo,
Uche Okoro, TVC News.
And the latest updates as the results come in.
TVC News, first with breaking news.
Welcome back to the program. It counts down to the Edo governorship election, and the legal practitioner, Liberous Shoma, is my guest on the program. Mr. Shoma, let's talk about the backers of the candidates in this election. People believe that the APC perhaps has the strongest backers. Talking about the likes of Adams Oshiomhole, who is a former Labour leader, 2-term governor, now senator. Talk about Sage Ezeyamo, who himself is not new to the race, Philip Shaibu, and other members of the party. The PDP itself boasts of people like Mike Ogadiome, Tommy Kimi. The current governor himself is also there. The Labour Party's candidate, Olumide Akpata, is a former NBA president. He says it's been funded by his friends, and he's also hoping to ride on the obedient movement in 2023. How do you see this backers factor come in determining the outcome of the election?
Yeah, let me start with Akpata, Olumide Akpata. Yes, one would have expected that Nigerians or Edo-lites who feel they want to distance themselves from the shenanigans and the misrule of both PDP and APC will, humbly embrace the candidature of an Akpata, for example. But the snap there is, like I said at the beginning, people will say, oh, Akpata is a Benin man. A Benin man is just the person leaving the office now. So it will be inequitable to have another Benin man. Not that he's not competent. And then also the obedient movement factor, the way it was in Edo, during the general election, that led to them winning the senatorial seat in Edo South, in Benin. It's no longer as strong as it was with the Peter Obi factor. And I also have not seen Peter Obi's hand and the voice consistently, coming to support the candidature of Olumide the way the other party members are supporting theirs. It's like Peter Obi, like Kenneth Okonkwo has said, it's like Peter Obi is aloof. I've not seen his hand. I might be wrong. So now coming to Asue Ighodalo, Asue, fantastic candidate, just like Olumide. You can say a Cambridge lawyer, in the mode of a Cambridge lawyer. An astute businessman who's also has been here and there in as far as Nigerian the legal environment is concerned, just like Olumide. But the unfortunate part is that the baggage of the current governor, Obaseki, it's a disadvantage for him. And so far, he's been able to meander. He's been able to gradually distance himself from an Obaseki. But a lot of people are still not happy. A lot of people still feel, look, let's see that tears of failure in the face of Obaseki, the way he has consistently reneged on promises made to other persons. Coupled with the fact that Obaseki had divided PDP largely along polarized PDP. You have the new PDP, old PDP, and they have so many cases in court. And then the current deputy governor of the state, Philip Shaibu's battle with him. So now making him going to align with Oshomole. And then to the APC. APC, you would say, yes, they have more backers, the like of Oshomole. Oshomole really, it's not an advantage, but a disadvantage. And I will tell you why. Because in the 2020 election, Oshomole, everything he said against Yamu before then, he came to renege, and we now saw how he was like a man eating his vomit. And people also, this is the same man that had campaigned against godfatherism, and people also feel the candidature of Monday Okpebholo as the candidature of an Oshomole, the way he's going about it. And coupled with the fact that a lot of people, because of Monday Okpebholo's lack of interaction with, the intelligentsia, it's not somebody, he does not have a gift of the gab, and some persons believe they have never heard him, and even when you hear him speak, it is like, this man does not really know how to communicate. And so people are questioning that if you cannot communicate with your electors as a candidate, how well will you be able to interrogate the documents or interact with the office? So that's one baggage that the APC also needs to, surmount. How well they're able to surmount that, it's entirely up to them. I watched the state chairman of the APC on an interview, and I can tell you that he didn't, he couldn't even answer questions at that regard, and he did very poorly. He demarcated the candidate, rather than selling him. But that said, so these are the challenges of all. I needed to point out all of the challenges of all the three major candidates, and now how well they are able to overcome those challenges will go a long way in determining, how they're able to get their vote. Because the main battleground really will be the Edo South, where Obaseki is from. That's the Benin Axis. It's a melting pot. You have Ishan people there. You have a lot of people from Edo North also there. Then you have, visitors also, a lot of people, Southeasterners, and some persons from Ondo, all, in Benin. So how well you are able to talk and convince these unbanked, to use the word, those who are not undecided, how well each of the parties is able to convince them will determine who will win the election at the end, at the end of the day. So the issue here, for Edo North, for example, Oshomole and Philip Shaibu, you can say, control, largely a lot of votes there. But the deputy governorship candidate of the Labour Party is a prince from Auchi, is the Yerima of Auchi Kingdom. Also, that will command a lot of, respect and vote from the Labour Party movement. And you have a lot of young persons. You have a lot of young persons in Edo North who also subscribe to the Labour ideas.
All right.
But the political family in Edo North, believes Oshomole had done a lot for them. The Edo Central, where the two other major candidates comes from, that's the Esan Axis. You have the intelligentsia who believe strongly in the candidature of Asue Godaro. And then you have the everyday politicians who believe in Okpebholo, coming from the political family of Chitoni and Neni. So that one is given. They are going to share vote there. But the main battlefield will be the Edo South, where you have a lot of misbag. And if they are able to convince voters from there, and that now takes me to the town hall meetings I talked about, debates I talked about, and then also the neighbor-to-neighbor campaign. Mind you, the deputy governorship candidate of the APC also is also from this Axis, coupled with the fact that the PDP deputy governorship candidate is a sitting, SSG, and there's also from Edo South. So these are the factors that will determine, the outcome.
Indeed, different issues to look at, godfatherism, and there are also concerns about the fact that it does appear Governor Obaseki is on the warpath with the Oba of Benin, and and that might have an impact on the election. But perhaps there'll be time some other day.